Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Karen. Lovely to see you again.
I know, and we're connecting this time around Carers Week, but I was just thinking back, it's quite a number of years now since we first met.
Oh, gosh, yes. Yes, it must be about 3, 4 years, if not
I
more.
know. Yeah, it's great. So always good to connect with good people. That's what I say.
Oh, thank you.
So we were just talking around, we always enjoy the good chat around topics of mutual interest, and the one we selected for today, or the one you selected really for today, which I'm really grateful for you to join us, is the invisible job of caring. Do you
Yeah.
want to tell me a bit about why you chose that as our conversation topic for today?
I chose the invisible job of caring because it's an area that people don't really know that you are doing. Because it happens behind closed doors, people from the outside may see various people going in and out, but they have no idea what they're doing. And that's one side of it. Then the other side of it is how much that person might need support and whether they actually ask for the support. You sometimes don't know as a carer you need help until you've got to breaking point or burnout.
Yeah,
And it's trying to identify things in the road that gives you the indicators that things aren't running as smooth as they should run. To be honest, nobody's life is smooth, is it? But with caring, you've got to be really spot on looking after yourself in order to look after the person you're caring for.
yeah, totally. And I suppose all of us are guilty of missing those signs at times, and because you're just involved and this is your life and this is what you're doing, and it's a 24/7 job, and it's not even that it's a job. It's rewarding in the sense that you're doing your best, you're doing it for the person that you love. But as you say, a lot of people don't really know what's involved behind the scenes or even in plain sight. Sometimes people don't know what you're doing or why you're doing something. For example, parking in a particular place or
Mm.
choosing a particular seat. It could be because it's close to the toilet. It could be that it's that same seat that person wants to sit on every single time, and you actually have no choice but to sit in that seat. There's all those things that people maybe go unnoticed by people.
Yeah, it really is. When Joshua, my son, was younger, and Joshua he's now 34, so he's not a child. But when he was a child, he used to love going to the cinema and loving watching all the Disney films and everything else. And the moment the lights went off, he was violently sick, and I couldn't work out why.
Well,
And it's only when he got to 21 that he was diagnosed with autism.
okay.
So we went through a phase of, okay, we want to go and watch this. I'm sitting near the end. I'm putting him on the end seat. So if he's going to be sick, he's going to be sick in the aisle. And when you plan your journey or plan your activity according to the needs of the person you're caring for, because he loved it. He loved watching whatever it was on that was showing at the time. And he loves it now and he's learned to cope with it now.
Yeah,
It could have been one of those things that I would say, I'm never taking him again.
yeah.
And he
Okay.
would miss out on a whole part of life, if you like, of being able to experience going to the theatre, going to the cinema because of those things. And I think as an invisible carer, or that's what you feel because you're a mum, people don't think of you as a carer because you're the mum. You have to think outside the box all the time. You have to think, if I tell him we're going to the theatre and I tell him a week beforehand, I've got all that anxiety building up
Yeah,
until you actually go.
yeah,
So you get to the point where you think, okay, I'm not going to tell him till the day before, the day we're actually getting ready. And you literally have to play it by ear. You don't always get it right.
yeah. It's that forward planning, I think. And I would always describe myself as mum first and then care second. And I suppose as Georgia has grown up, it's not obvious to people that she has a disability. There can be some judgment there, say if she's behaving in a particular way or she's having a bad moment or a meltdown and she's an adult now, or you'd ask her name and I'd say, oh, she can't speak. And then they'd ask her louder as if she can't hear. And I'm like, no, she can hear you, but she can't reply. And sometimes people just don't know what to do, but you're trying to make them at ease, to put them at ease as well, and then carry on and just get on with things. But I always think when we were younger, when Georgia was younger, we were always planning journeys so meticulously. So how many stops we were going to need for toilets, and they needed to have a changing station, or we did it in the back seat of the car, whatever it was. But there needed to be so many changes of clothes and aprons. But thankfully, we're probably doing that less and less. But it's still that constant planning, thinking, anticipating, heading everything off at the pass before things become an issue or they escalate.
Yeah, you're right. It is doing that plan and it is trying to head it off before it does escalate. And it does get to the point where there's almost no return because they've got to let out the anxiety that they're feeling one way or the other.
Yeah.
Whether it's physically by lashing out, whether it's physically by being sick or by having a very loose bowel, they have to let the anxiety out. So we have to find ways of anticipating those and putting things in place, like you say, extra clothes. I remember probably about 2, 3 years now where I'd literally just visited my aunt in Peterborough, which is only 40 minutes from where I live. And Jocelyn saying, oil, oil. And I'm like, okay, there's nowhere to stop here because these are A roads, not motorways and whatever. And I managed to pull into a lay-by and he's stripping off in the middle. And I'm like thinking, no, you'd be done for indecent assault, decent
Exposure.
yeah. Next thing I know, because I tried to grab the passenger seat, the passenger door on the back of the car to give him a bit of privacy. I missed my step and ended up in the ditch.
Oh no.
And with a can of beans that somehow, I don't know what a can of beans was doing there, but can of beans was that close to my face. And I'm
Wow.
like thinking, oh, how bad could that have been?
Yeah.
Um, and by that time, the accident had happened anyway. And I'm like, okay, how are we going to get home without ruining my car and spoiling the seat? And I'm looking through the boot because it's one of those things I was not prepared for because he's not been that way for such a long time.
Yeah.
And I had a raincoat in the car and I ended up putting that on the seat for him to sit on, putting everything else in a bag. Those are the things that people don't see,
Yeah.
which is why I think invisible caring comes into it a lot. The things you do that nobody ever will see,
Yeah.
and the preparation and the cleaning up afterwards.
Yeah. And it takes so much out of you. It's exhausting, that piece when you're planning or something like that happens out of the blue and you're having to sort it out. And it's only when you get down later that you go,
It was, in that particular case, I sat in the car just before starting off back and I rang my eldest son, Ashley, And I said, you won't guess what's happened. And he said, okay, on your way home, drive by, pick me up. I'll help you to get,
Uh,
because it was the whole Hannah, it was Josh, and the
yeah,
whole caboodle. It was everything. And then I had to clean myself up because I felt then Ashley came and he helped and yeah, that was, I'm laughing about it now, but I was crying. I was absolutely crying at that time. I don't believe this.
yeah. Like that was a straightforward trip to.
Yeah, 40 minutes away. And that's a simple journey to me.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that can happen in any family, but I think when it's somebody with a disability that you're supporting, the frequency is more. I think probably similarly, Joshua and Georgia, that having no speech is such a guessing game at times. And I think sometimes people expect you to know what is going on, and you don't always know as a parent. You can have a good guess or you have a hunch and you can add things together, but we spend a lot of time figuring out things. Would you
Well,
agree?
yeah, I totally agree because he was going, oh, yeah. And I'm like, and I'm driving at this time, so I can't see what he's saying. And even if he's signing, I couldn't see what he was signing. And the only reason that it gave it away was that he was pulling on the, just above your seat, you've got a handlebar that lifts you up. He was pulling on that and trying to lift himself off the seat.
Okay.
And that was the only thing that gave it away. That I needed to do an emergency stop. There was no way I was going to be able to get home
Yeah.
without it being a lot more disastrous than it already that it turned out.
Minimizing the disaster. And so, yeah, I know. Because we have things too. Health is always one for us that we're very aware of. And Georgia fell and broke her ankle a couple of
Yeah.
months back. And she's making great recovery. She was cooperative and did everything that she was told. And then I suppose a few weeks after she had been to the consultant, so she didn't need to go for a few more weeks. And we thought that the wee scar was angry looking. And I asked if we could come to the clinic. So I rang a nurse. The nurse was post hip surgery for me. I said, look, I don't know who else to ring. And she said, well, look, bring her up to the clinic tomorrow. I'll put her on the list. But that wasn't that nurse's job at all. But she did help because she knew the situation and we've been to the clinic ever since. So there has been an infection, but it was because we had thought there might be and that she was out of form and her PAs were saying she wasn't, while she was tolerating things, she wasn't as energetic as she normally would. So for us, it's that. And sometimes you feel like you're almost over anxious or you're, sometimes people say, just relax, it should be fine. And I'm like, but when she can't tell or her temperature spikes are much higher than ours and she can tolerate so much more pain than the rest of us,
Mm.
and we do have to be on the ball. And when we were doing an online event there last week, a parent said, what do you do? I said, you have to keep pushing, which is exhausting in itself as well, that you are constantly advocating on their behalf.
Yeah.
But you have to trust your gut as a mum. I think your gut instinct.
I know, and as mums, most mums know that they're going to care for their child from birth up until 16. After 16, most of the children do not want to be known as a child anyway. They don't want to be known as a child once they get to secondary school at age 11 or something. But we are still caring for our children, no matter what age they are.
Yeah.
And as I say, Josh was just turned 34, and it is still an issue with us trying to work out what he wants. And the invisible side of caring, it's really hard to explain to people because they'll say, surely he can give himself a bath. And you're like, he will be in the bath, but he won't be able to He won't clean the places that need cleaning. He'll sit in it and whatever. But and then again, Joshua doesn't like bath, to be fair. He hates having a bath, so he'll just stand under the shower.
Yeah.
So only one part of him gets wet.
And funny, we have that issue with control. I think with Georgia, she eats when we put food in front of her. If she's really hungry, she would go and get a yogurt out of the fridge. But there needs to be a yogurt in the fridge for her to get. But everything else is served to her because, and the whole personal budget and having PAs is good because it's promoting more independence and learning new skills. But she will do things for other people that she will not do for me. Cleaning her teeth is one of them. It's such a battle. And she just won't do that. And that's, I think, that she can control that situation, or she will only allow me to sit in a certain seat in the kitchen. Sometimes if somebody comes in, they go, "Oh, is that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's okay for now." But it's draining at times because we all have to get up and move seats, or else it's it's not a very pleasant meal. And they change as well, so they're not static. Once they get older, their preferences and skills are developing, and they're entitled to have a bad day like anyone else.
They are when they're children as well. You cook a meal and they eat it. You cook something now and they look at it as if to say, "What do you think you're serving me?"
Yeah.
Oh, I think the other day I went to make a sandwich and I says, "Oh, I'm having such and such. You're having some, aren't you?" "Nah."
And that was it.
And that was it. And I'm like, "Okay, so what are you going to have?" And he decided he was having a cheese and ham wrap.
Very good.
And when he did himself a cheese and ham wrap with mayonnaise, and I'm like thinking, "Okay, do you want me to help?" "Nope." Yeah.
Yeah.
So certain words are very clear.
Yeah.
And certain things mean the opposite of what you think it means. So if I was to say to Josh, "Do you want some more potatoes?" He will say, all right, really deep, all right. And it's taken me a while to learn this, so it's going to take whoever is with him quite a while. It doesn't mean yes. It means I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm fine. No,
Yeah.
no potatoes.
Yeah. So a lot of the times when he was being sick earlier in his lifetime, I look back now and I'm thinking he must have been trying to say no, thank you, or
Yeah.
no. And he was coming out with a phrase that says, all right, or whatever. And people just pile the food on his plate. And I'm like saying to everybody else, "Please don't do that. He's had enough." And I said, "But he wants more." And I said, "Whether he wants it or not, he's had enough." He
Yeah.
will be sick. No, he's asked for it.
Yeah.
And
But it wasn't that really. Yeah.
no,
That's
but
really
until
interesting.
he was actually sick, did people stop doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Because
is
they
that
couldn't
about it?
understand that what I said was a normal portion
Yeah.
was a normal portion for him, because he would eat rather than upset you. He will eat whatever you put in front of him. He
Yeah.
would then be sick, and then he'd want his meal. So he'd want it all again. So
Yeah.
it took quite a while for people to understand that he's to eat a normal portion,
Yeah.
and he will always clear his plate. So don't think because he's cleared his plate, he wants more.
Yeah. That's it. It's just done. If it's a big plate, he'll eat it. If it's a small plate, he'll eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose that's probably those that are with him trying to do the best by him, thinking they were keeping him happy too.
They felt they were doing right by
Yeah.
doing whatever they're doing, and they were like, "No, you're starving him. Look at him. He wants more. He
Yeah.
wants more." And I'm like, he doesn't need any more. He may want it, but he doesn't need it. His body will not cope with it.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
took a couple of times of him being sick with several people for them to stop doing it.
yeah. No, and funny, we're like food is huge. Georgia will only eat certain foods, so she won't eat bread unless it's toasted, for example. But she wouldn't dare even hold a piece of fruit, never mind eat fruit. And trying to get that balance of food isn't so bad now because she's eating lasagnas and things. But the food is huge in terms of trying to get a meal that everybody will eat
Mm.
together. So we're getting better at that. And then the other thing we always have to be worrying about is bowel, keeping the bowel moving. And that's just such a hard job. It really does take teamwork and keeping an eye when we're still monitoring toilets in the 20s, but that's part and parcel. She was hospitalized twice, and it's all about preventing that happening again, really, isn't it? It's all those
It
prevention
is.
methods as well.
It is. I mean, lucky for Josh, it's the opposite way. He's got a loose bowel. And it does panic. He's been sent home when he was at school so many times for diarrhea, and it wasn't diarrhea. It's just the
As a
way his
makeup.
body just
Mm.
chucks everything out. And the anxiety brings it on. So I've gone to pick him up from a secondary school, and he's been in what Joshua would tell you is a nappy. And he's smiling at me. I says, "Why are you smiling?" And he's pointing to it. And I'm saying, "What are you doing in that?" And he'll go,
And he's okay with it, is he?
when it suits him,
Yeah.
when it suits him. After a bit, I said, "No, that would have been brought on by something you're doing." And they were like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Where were you going?" And then they left him. His whole class teacher left him with another teacher. So I then said, "Where is everybody?" And they said, "Oh, we've gone to the bird fair." And I said, "It's obvious what's caused this then, because he hates anything that's not a human being.
Okay.
He can't cope with it." And I said, "You're talking about going to see birds and animals and whatever else. He won't like that." And they said, "We did tell him." I'm like, oh, talk about person-centered planning.
And he still doesn't like it. Even
No,
when we talk about it.
yeah, he's coping with Ashley's dog, but we've had to take it really slowly. And I was there, and we'd only go there for 15 minutes, then a bit longer and a bit longer and a bit longer. And with it being a Cocker Spaniel, it's a bouncy dog.
Mm.
So I weren't there that particular day, it was Ashley. And Ashley said, "I only nipped upstairs to do whatever it, I can't remember what it was." And he heard a scream from Josh. And he got downstairs, and Poppy the dog's looking at Josh, looking at Ashley, looking at Josh, looking at Ashley. Because Poppy didn't know what she had done.
Yeah.
And since that day, she's given Joshua a wide berth. Even if she's still bouncing around everywhere else, she gives him space.
Wow. That's good. Yeah.
So the dog has learned not to get too close to him. Not because Josh will hurt her in any way, but so that she doesn't frighten him.
Yeah. So she's sensitive to him needing that. Funny, our dog's the same. Our dog is a black lab retriever, and he'll sit up with George. It's almost like he can read her mood. If she's in, he'll sit up on the sofa with her, or and he'll get out of the way if she needs space. When we come home from hospital, I don't know whether it was the fear of the wheelchair or what, but he was like standing back. It's amazing, really, how the animals can connect. If you were asked, if somebody was saying to you, how do you get your breaks, or how do you recharge your batteries?
I don't recharge as often as I should. I get mine a lot when Ashley, Joshua's brother, takes him for a day, like he's taken him for a haircut, now, or Joshua goes various places during the day, but I do work and it gives me the freedom to work. But Josh also gets short breaks, otherwise known as respite, and I try and book them around a time where I may not have anything planned to do, but where it's beneficial for me. It's not going to be, oh, we're going to a wedding, he's going
Yeah,
whatever. Because I still believe he not believe he is a member of our family and he will do what the rest of our family's doing. So if we're all going to a wedding, he will go to the wedding with us.
yeah,
We may not stay as long, but he will attend some of the functions with us. If, however, which is something I'm contemplating now, I've got a sister in Canada and I took Josh over, was it last year or the year before? And he was so anxious on the plane. We got to Canada, and that night, I've never seen anybody be so ill.
okay.
And he was ill in the bedroom. And then I managed to get into the bathroom thinking he'd done everything. I'm just going to shower him down and clean him up. Oh no, then there came a second wave. So I'm like looking at my sister's bedroom, help, I need help, I don't know where anything is. We ended up having to clean up two major areas and it took us both an hour each. That's how it was.
Yeah,
So,
not the best start to your holiday.
no, I'm struggling with my back anyway. So to be bending down and cleaning up really knocked me off my feet for a day or two afterwards. So I'm weighing up now whether, not whether, but yeah, whether. I'm weighing up if I can go to Canada and leave him at short breaks for a week, where I would normally go to Canada for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm
Yeah,
now thinking I'm going to go for a week because I don't feel putting him through
that
that
journey.
that
Yeah,
journey, that anxiety, the stress, and the more you look at it, it's the things we take for granted. Going into an airport and see and dealing with all these people around you. When you're autistic, you've got a learning disability. Nobody understands you when you speak.
there's a lot of waiting about,
And
and
it was just too much for him.
yeah,
So I am contemplating going on my own for a week. I'm also contemplating taking a short flight to wherever I can get the shortest flights and then build up the flights, build up the length of the journey. And so then he gets used to a longer journey.
yeah,
Because I've got family in Jamaica that wants us to come over, and I'm thinking there's no way he's going to do an 8 hour flight.
yeah,
It's just not fair on him. As much as he would love being out in the sun, love being in the pool, and all the things related to
yeah,
being in the Caribbean and whatever else. But getting him there would be really difficult and so unfair on him and also unfair on myself because now that I know what's caused that bout of sickness, why would I inflict that on anybody?
yeah. And that is some of the hard choices we have to make too, is opting out of things. And not everybody always understands why. Sure, it's only for a day or it'll be fine. And it is fine, but it can be the aftermath or the preparation that's involved. You have to put yourself in their shoes really too, and your own. If there's anybody out there struggling, what would you say to them in terms of carers? I always say they can pick up the phone and give us a call.
Exactly. There's various carers organisations where you all live. They offer different things. So if you don't get what you are looking for with one organisation, try another. Carers UK is a fantastic one. They've got one in Northern Ireland, they've got one in Scotland, and they've got one in Wales.
Yeah.
So Carers UK and other
Rutland.
nations
And then we have Family Carers Ireland as well and other local networks.
yeah. And you've
Yeah.
got parent carer forums. Just talk to somebody. Talk to somebody because you might think you're the only one.
Yeah. And we have our inCharge community, a small community of families, and there is such a solidarity, even though very few people have actually met each other in person. Isn't there? Isn't it strange? It shows you that you can build relationships with other people that have similar challenges.
Yeah. I think because of the in-charge family, we're all carers, aren't we? We're all carers, and I think that is the bond. It doesn't have to be we're caring for someone with autism or someone with dementia or someone with whatever. The
Yeah.
fact is, you are caring, and that is the only bond you need, the only tie that ties you together. And if they don't have an answer to your question, I bet you they'll find somebody that does.
Absolutely. The passing it forward, isn't it? Because I think it's people that, as you say, a problem shared or the problem halved sometimes, even just somebody that recognizes that you're not alone or there's a challenge there. And it could be not all the time, it could be just occasionally that you're facing this challenge, but it can be very big when you have to face it. So it's reaching out and getting that help or even just that first conversation.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. It's hard. That first conversation is really hard. And I don't want anybody to think it's really easy to turn around and say, I need help or
Yeah.
whatever. But it is really important that you do speak to someone. You've also got the local authorities as well. And we've got in England here citizens advice.
Same, yeah. Very good, great service.
And they can often put you in touch with someone that can help you. Filling in forms. How many forms do we have to fill in?
Yeah, over and over. And I think if you're growing up, like we have, knowing that there's been a disability from the beginning, then I think you almost just get on with things. You just
Mm,
probably don't think about it too much. But then there's different points in your life, say leaving school or moving into a new service and new phase of your life, then it's like starting all over again. You know nothing. You think all those years of experience have gone in a flash and you starting again.
yeah, it's a bit like a poem I wrote years and years ago. No one gave me a job description.
Yes.
And every time the role changed, you had to learn the new rules for that game. You had to learn how to maneuver through the system and things like that. And I
Yeah.
think that is exactly what it is. Nobody's given a job description. You're given a baby. And all our babies develop in different ways. And some of ours have got that extra need that needs to be accommodated. And we have to learn to do that. And some of us find it easier to learn to do that than others.
Yeah.
And if it means reaching out, reach out. Don't let anybody tell you that you are not coping.
Yeah. I agree.
You are doing a fantastic job.
Yeah. Doing your
Don't,
best.
yes.
Mm.
And your best is all you can do. And if you need more, sometimes all you need is an extra hour's sleep.
Yes. Sleep is a big commodity in our house for sure. Just thinking about your poem, maybe you'll put that out in your blog, Jacqui, this next week again. That would be lovely to read again.
Yes, I could probably do that. I think it's on the blog page already, but I'll repost the link to it. I think it's ideal because it talks about from birth up until college. I've not done anything since then, poem-wise, I should say. I've done loads of stuff, think they. It was all the stages that you go through, and you just don't know what you don't know. And one of the things that I have always remembered, Joshua turned 19, and I went to collect his prescription, which until he turned 19 was free. Went to get it, they told me I had to pay. I'm like, what do you mean I have to pay? Nobody prepared me. In the end, I paid, but what I had to do was fill in, or what I was told to do was to fill in, I think it was called an 8C1 form, where you are exempt because of various things. You can be exempt. So I filled that in, forgot about it, thought, that's it. He's got Down syndrome for life. He's not thinking anything of it. 2 years down the line, I get a bill for £1,000.
No way.
I cried. I just cried. I didn't know what to do with myself. And I'm like, where am I going to get this money? And I rang them up, and I was crying. I was still crying when I rang them up. And she said to me, why did you fill in the form in the first place? And I said, because I was told to. She said, no, you should never have filled it in. And all it was, the prescriptions pads had been updated, but my GP still had some of the old ones. And on the
Okay.
old ones, there weren't the proper, there wasn't a box for me to tick. He was on ESA or something like that. So that's how I ended up filling in this form. And she said, no, you don't need to fill in any form. And I can promise you, Jacqui, you do not owe us any money at all.
Oh, good.
But it's little things like that you don't know.
Yeah, and they become so stressful because if you think you have this big bill, we have to reapply for the medical card for Georgia, which, like you're saying, Joshua's got Down syndrome. He's going to have it. It's not going away, and neither is Georgia's. Hers is a rare chromosome deletion. It's not going away either, and it's just so stressful. The time that it takes, then this fear of what if she doesn't get it. And they're not going to refuse to see her, but it's just all those things that become big when they're avoidable. They're completely preventable if you did know and you weren't kicking the system, having to do it over and over again. Yeah, there are things that I think everybody has battles with. Thank you so much for today. We're working very hard, as I said, to get you over to Ireland. We'll hopefully watch this space, Jacqui, and have you over very soon. And then we could meet some of our families in person, actually. There's a
Oh,
plan.
that will be lovely.
Yeah,
One big party.
for sure. Look, thank you very much. Have you anything you'd like to say as a closing remark for anybody in Carers Week?
Carers, remember to look after yourself. You can't look after anybody unless you look after yourself first. It's hard because when you put a meal out, you put the meal out for everybody else and you sit down last. But sometimes we need to sit down first. Or
Yeah.
at least tell everybody else to wait until you've sat down before they start.
Keep everybody in check. They're so good, as always, to talk to you. And as I say, there's more to come from us anyway, for sure.
Brilliant.